Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Boleyn Lounge, another Tuesday talk show. Budgie's on his way. Should be a few minutes late, but I'm joined by Mick. Thanks for joining me, Mick. How are you, mate?
Evening, Jeff. Sound as a pound fella.
Good, good. And obviously, we're going to talk about the Liverpool game. What were your thoughts on that, Mick? How did you find it?
Yeah. Well, privately, I'm not sure we've done it on the show, but I know privately you had concerns around Potter's style and creating chances. And I have to say, I've seen that in a big way on Sunday. Yeah. Second, excuse me. The second half, especially, and I thought Soler and Paqueta sort of started to boss the game, but in terms of making in the midfield, in terms of making clear-cut chances, yeah, I can kind of see what you're saying. I think Liverpool were there for the taking. I know we're talking about Liverpool here, but I thought for a half hour there that Liverpool are limping over the line in the last few weeks. I think nerves have got to them, and yeah, disappointed. It was, everyone said, "Oh, it was a good second half." It was a good second half from the middle of the park, halfway in our half, up to the last third, and then a void of ideas really and runners, and again playing Bowen up front for me was
Desperately missed the striker, the number 9, didn't we? I thought there's a couple of crosses that went through, and you just thought if there's a striker on the pitch, they'd have been in that space or they'd have made that run. And even a couple of times when they had opportunities to cross, no one to hit in the box. So the ball didn't come in. My frustration there, I think, well, I don't even care if it's Ferguson, I'll be honest with you. I just want us to start with a striker. If Fulcook's not fit, get him on in a second. I'd rather give him an hour. But hey ho, I wasn't that delighted with the lineup. I don't know, at the start of the game.
Again, going to the lineup is, I think Budgie and myself both advocated that Creswell should have played on the left. And I think that was clear, really. I don't think Kilman helps goals in the way that an experienced defender should. Hence leading to Salah getting man of the match. But it was only for his first half performance, certainly not in his second half.
What did you think, talking about Scholes, of his selection? Were you surprised that Potter put him in at Anfield and started him, or did you think it was a good move from him?
I think it's a good move for the boy. I think he's got to play these games just like all the others. But the difference between who's the right back that plays for Liverpool, young kid, name's gone off my head now.
Yeah, Connor Bradley or whatever his name is.
So he came in last year, yeah. But he had top class players around him helping him. Not people leaving him exposed on his own. And yeah, at the moment he's a better quality fullback than Scholes, but he's that couple of years older. But yeah, I just put Scholesy in there, but protect him a little bit. I don't think he was protected, but yeah, overall, it was a half decent performance, but again, not threatening in any way. I know you've said this to me 2 or 3 times privately. I've said we've got the players who can score goals, and he's never had the players at Brighton. But I think I said it on the show last week. He didn't have the quality of forwards that West Ham possess. Again, strange team selections when you put Bowen up against Van Dijk as an instance. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we abandoned, thankfully, I have to say, we kind of abandoned this, let's play it along our back line and invite them onto us to close us down. We abandoned that, but the default tactic was Areola to Van Dijk's head, wasn't it?
Yeah.
For large parts of the first half.
Yeah.
Although the game changed a lot in the second half. And I think we should be really I know we got nothing from the game. I'm sure we'll talk about a couple of the incidents during the game as we go. But quite an encouraging performance. I don't think I expected us to play the way we did. Boss the game in parts in the second half there at Anfield in the way we did. And that's encouraging signs. Unfortunately, we've ended up with nothing from it. And what it reminds me of, I don't know if you remember, but the very first game Potter took charge against Villa in the FA Cup, and we narrowly lost. And we exchanged a couple of messages, and I said to you, "This is my worry with Potter, that we might have plucky performances and not
Mhm.
quite the line." And I think in a way we could put Liverpool into that category this weekend. I was very disappointed with the way we set up. I was very disappointed the way we approached the first half. I thought we were really quite passive, and we didn't look after the football, so they just came at us in waves, really. But we
Mhm.
kind of got into the game, got ourselves a couple of chances. Good save from Allison from Kudus, right? Um, and Mavropanos probably should score there just before half time.
We should have done, certainly, yeah.
Yeah. And second half, much better from us. Again, without really opening up, making any great chances. Um, I said Liverpool would score 3 times. I said we'd lose 3-0. Well, they did score 3 times, didn't they? It was 2-1. But they kind of came at us after that, didn't they? Got their goal. Paqueta, I know we've spoke about Paqueta. You weren't too happy with Paqueta, were you? I have to say, I think he's a bit soft there. He's got to look after the football. See
He's
the
a
game.
prick. That's the second time against Liverpool he's done that. He done that. He done that at Anfield. He went down at a corner like he'd been shot. Yeah, lay on the floor while Liverpool was scoring, and then got up and ran away. Maybe if he'd stayed on his feet, what happened? I've lost any sort of interest in Paqueta playing for West Ham again, as well as he played for that half-hour period. Like
Oh, I think that's harsh, Mick. I think he's played well the
Jeff,
last few games.
that's so unprofessional to fall
I do
over with
agree
the
on that.
ball.
I agree on
Yeah, and it's not the first time, Jeff. Yeah,
that. No, he does
like
do it.
yeah, I can't be dealing with that shit. It's like you're on big money. You're playing at Anfield. You know the expectations on you. He's had no assists this season. A lot of his balls forward, even when we had domination, weren't great balls. He tried to do the impossible. I'm not saying that he look. You see him on the ball. He beats a player, but he's passing when you want that. He's trying to put it through the eye of a needle time and time again. And then to fall over, that's what he did. Give Liverpool the ball, and then we score from the corner. It's just bollocks. Yeah.
And your
And
view from there on Fulcrook? Do you think it's a foul? I
well,
think he needs to be stronger myself. But
what's that for the header? Well, I think
yeah,
again when how many times have we spoken about that's on the 6-yard line? Keeper, come and get it, punch it, do
yeah.
something. Yeah, like again, you don't close the game out with a minute to play. That's ridiculous. You know, it's again from a professional team that knows that Van Dijk's always the target at Liverpool corner, always. And if he doesn't get it, it's second balls. Areola, the centre halves, Fulcrook, they all know where it's going. That was just poor, but. Yeah, you've got me on a rant about Capellas. I'll ring you up. I'll text you straight away.
Yeah, I know you were annoyed with him.
I can't be dealing with that, Jeff. Can't be
I'm
dealing
sure
with
we'll
that.
talk about it a bit more. Budgie's just joined us in the chat. I'm not sure if he's ready to come in yet, so I'm sure he'll have something to say on it. On the plus side, Mavropanos had quite an assured game, didn't he?
Yeah.
I was quite impressed with him.
When he plays like
He's
that.
He's
Sorry,
normally
Jeff.
such a liability, but he didn't really put a foot wrong, apart from he should score his chance, right?
Yeah, well, you can forgive him for that. But,
Yeah, I agree.
He played like he does when he plays for Greece. But again, that's the first time in a long time where he's had an assured 90 minutes. For me, like I always think, I look at him and think, you're a good player. And then he goes and does 2 or 3 daft things in the game and usually gives the ball away to create a chance or a goal. But he didn't do that. And Tobido played well as well. And again, as you said last week, why are we taking him off? Yeah.
I think he's just not fit. Anyway, Budge is ready to come in. I can see he's ready to come in. So I'm going to bring him in, say good evening to all the guys that have joined us in the chat, and then we'll carry on. Here he is. Thanks for joining us, Budge.
Evening,
How are you, mate? Okay.
All right. How are we? Hang on a minute. I've just got to quickly get rid of that.
You do
blur
that. I'll say
There
good
we go.
evening to the chat, Budge, and we'll get on.
There we go. Yeah.
Usual's
Ready when
in.
you
Good
are.
evening, Usual. How are you?
Evening, usual.
And Toha says good evening
Brendan.
to us all. And that Usual was in earlier lunchtime, maybe, and he said he was in and left a message. Somehow got deleted. I did see your message, Usual. I don't know how it got deleted. I don't know if it's because I came in and out of the studio and it's disappeared. 9:55 it was. I was very impressed. I hadn't opened the studio for long and I was still in here doing bits and pieces for the show this evening, and I saw your message. So great dedication, Usual. Fantastic. Thanks, mate.
Mate, he is dedicated. If there's one word for Usual, that's definitely one I would use.
Colin's in, he says good evening, and Hammer's
Evening,
Football TV. Good evening, Jeff and Mick, and that's
Evening.
Tony, I believe. We'll
That's
rebrand
Tony,
Tony,
yeah,
isn't it?
rebranded. Early Doors Football TV. It's now
Yeah.
Hammer's Football TV, and I liking the new logo, Tone. Looking very
it looks
nice,
great.
mate. Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. When you're off your sabbatical, mate, give me a shout, and you're welcome to come on and join us anytime, buddy. Ian's in, and Toha's
Ian.
just referring to Tony's rebranding.
Yep.
And Aces has joined us. He says he feels it was an awful performance. Do you feel that about the whole game, Aces? Expand on that in the chat for us, mate. And everyone just saying good evening to each other. And Toha's
So have
just
you spoken about the Liverpool game yet, guys?
we have, but we've really just sort of covered it. We were just finishing off. So fire your thoughts away, mate, and I'll just keep going through the chat.
Okay. Well, you know what? I felt that for the first 15, 20 minutes, we were kind of under the cosh and it didn't look good for us. But then something switched and I felt we got into the game a bit more. Now, I'm not saying that the first half was a great performance. What I'm saying is that we actually might manage to get a decent grip of the game. Even though we went into the half-time 1-0 down, my first thoughts were, we're still in this. We're definitely still in this game, because I felt that the performance levels and like the team ethic kind of started to gel late on in the first half. And then when they came out for the second half, I felt that it was there. I felt that it hadn't gone anywhere. And that the team ethic and the performance levels were still up there. And I, being from a pit of fire, as it were, I felt Ollie Scholes, LDL, considering he was against possibly the right wingers in the world, and I felt that
You're breaking
make
up
one
a
or
bit.
two.
You're freezing up, Budgie, you're freezing up.
It could be argued that none of them left the go. But listen, for me, I thought Scholes did himself no damage.
Budgie, you're freezing
I think
out.
I just might have lost a bit of signal or something then.
Yeah, you have, but you were
second
freezing
half,
up, mate.
I felt we were.
You're freezing up, Budgie.
It's everything.
Want to sign back in, I think.
Can you not hear?
No,
You can me very well at all.
No, you're freezing
Can you
up,
not
I
hear
think, Budge.
me?
I wouldn't think the chat are getting much of that. I don't know if you want to go out and come back in. See if that works.
I'm going to do.
Yeah, do that, mate.
Do that, but I'm going to come back in on my phone.
Yeah, do that, mate, and I'll catch up with the chat. So I just starred actually Ian's comment here. So we might as well talk about that while Budgie sorts himself out there. He says, I think it would help if we stopped setting up to let teams batter us in the first half. And I totally agree. And I just thought we really invited Liverpool onto us. I thought that was tactically the way he sat up. We sat so deep, and then we didn't look after the football, did we? Like I say, Areola pumped it onto Van Dijk's head. That was never really going to be a successful endeavour, was it? Expecting Bowen or Kudus to win those balls. And then we didn't really look after the ball properly when we had opportunity. I mean, Scholes gave the ball. I know Budgie was just saying he had he didn't do himself any harm. He gave the ball away cheaply a couple of times, unnecessarily. I'm not picking him out, especially, by the way. Actually, we were quite guilty of that through the team. And if we gifted the ball back to Liverpool and just brought them back onto us. And there's one thing struggling at Anfield, but we did sort of the same at Wolves. We let Bournemouth come at us. Got to stop doing it.
Again, giving the ball away cheaply, as you said, it's having options, and until Budgie said he felt that we started playing better towards the end of the first half, which it's probably true that, but second half we did. But when I know I just said what I said about Paqueta, and I feel that way, but at least he was getting on the ball, and I thought Soler, for that half hour before he took him off, was very composed and what have you. And then he took him off, and I felt our chances of perhaps even winning the game at that point had gone when he took him off. I thought Soler was a strange, but it's having people who want the ball, Jeff, and having options, and them options weren't there in that first half hour, shall we say, at least. People just didn't seem to want the ball, as though they, not playing with any freedom. So not playing with freedom. So as you say, setting up not to lose rather than setting up to try and win.
Budgie's back in now. Let's see if he's got a better connection. He looks in a better shape there. How's that, Budgie? You better? Yeah, that sounds a lot better, mate.
Yeah. I've only got 4G on my bloody Wi-Fi, but I've got 5G on my phone. So here we go.
Mm-hmm.
On a slightly different subject, just off of the game, and I know you want to probably put your bit in. Asa says Potter's going to find it hard to deal with Sullivan during negotiations in the summer transfer window. Along with every other manager, probably that's worked for him. I think it's pretty fair. Fair comment.
Yeah, I think
I'll let you carry on with your analysis. I know you were saying you thought Scholes didn't do himself any harm.
No, he didn't. I mean, obviously, it wasn't the best game we've seen him in, but he didn't do himself any harm. I mean, I felt he handled marking Salah reasonably well for what that was. But as far as second half was concerned, because I felt that going into half time, I felt we were still in the game. And the performance levels didn't drop off in the second half. In fact, I think they got better. I felt that the team ethic worked better. And I think the substitutions worked well. And I just felt that we were in the game the whole way through it. I don't think we gave them an easy game. And, I want to say a big thank you to all of the people that travelled to Anfield, the West Ham fans, because from what I'm seeing on social media, when they had their minute silence for the 97, West Ham fans were impeccable throughout. Aaron Creswell laid a wreath at the memorial on behalf of the club, which I thought was a top gesture from the club. And the whole of social media has blown up thanking West Ham fans, saying proper fans from a proper club. So real nice to see that. And that's an actual
recognised quote. Actually, on the TV, they said it was impeccably observed by both sets of fans, and absolutely through social media. Nice to see, and a bit of mutual respect over a tragedy.
And I think that mutual respect has just grown and grown since the 2006 final, to be honest. A lot of people have sort of suggested that, well, they've said that, they were chatting with Liverpool fans after the game, and it was all just very mutual respect and what a great game it was, and that Gerrard made the difference and this and that. But yeah, I mean, I just felt that we didn't give them an easy game. They knew we were there, and the fans were brilliant throughout the whole game, other than paying their respects. They were brilliant throughout, very vocal. It was lovely to hear, lovely to see. And, it was just, I felt it was just a much better performance for a lot longer than just 15 minutes or 40 minutes, Go on, what are you saying? What are you saying?
Oh, it's Torah. I'll put this comment up now. Just. He says, did you take it away, Budge? Sing it if you can.
No, I'm not singing. Dedication, dedication, dedication. That's what you need. If you want to be the best, want to beat the rest, just you, usual. That's actually a theme tune from a TV show, isn't it?
Record
Breakers. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. Brilliant.
Just one thing I'd like your views on, you guys. Jarrod Bowen, Paqueta feeds Bowen through. I've seen different people say different things. Some people say, I've heard it said that he should square to Southampton. I have to see that back to see if that passes on. He should have tucked it away. It's a poor miss, one thing or another. Personally, I don't think Bowen's done too much wrong. It's actually fantastic goalkeeping from Alisson. He's spotted that, come out, closed that down. He's on top of Bowen before he knows it. I think the keeper's done remarkably well there myself. But
we would be lauding it up if that had, we'd be lauding it up if that was Areola, in my opinion. Go on, Jeff.
Well, my initial thought is he should have gone around him, but there you go.
Yeah, sure. And I've heard it also said, people say, do you know what? If he takes a touch to the left of him, he could probably, and that is probably the best option, right? But he's took it early. I don't think, like I say, I don't think he's done too much wrong. Yeah, perhaps that might have been a better option. I don't know if
he didn't lift it.
Passes on.
He didn't. He tried to lift it at him over him. He just hit it at him. So again, it's too. Who wants to be that super critical? It's in that split second. But
listen, the game's all about opinions. I'm not saying this one said that one said the other, and anyone's right or wrong. I'm just.
It's two options where to lob it over him at a much greater height, which he didn't do, or go around him. And if Bowen had scored 5 or 6 in the last few games, that's the problem. Yeah. If he'd have scored 5 or 6 in the last, he probably would have had the confidence to go around him. But he's snatching now. He's snatching because he's not scoring, and that's what happens. And players who are expected to score, which he is because he's Jarrod Bowen for West Ham. When he's snatching, that's what happens.
Yeah, I agree.
And really, we sort of half chances we created mostly, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean when Soler broke into the box, and
Soler's chance was a gilt-edged chance.
It was.
Do you think that was gilt-edged? Do you mean?
Yeah, it should have had.
I do too. But the thing was,
I think he's arriving quite quickly, and I think the ball comes at him quite quickly. Maybe I'm being generous,
He's a professional footballer, Jeff.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, all right.
Yeah. I think that was a gilt-edged chance myself, actually. To be fair. But
before you came on, Budgie, I thought he played well, and you said other substitutions.
Absolutely. I thought Soler. I mean, the thing is, there's this major discussion amongst the West Ham fan base that should we keep him, should we release him, or whatever the case may be. I think that he's the sort of player that we should be keeping. I think he's the sort of player that would be, because he is quite mobile. I mean,
he's confident with the ball as well.
Yeah. And, he's a midfielder, and You know, what is everybody screaming out for? A confident, mobile midfielder. We've got one.
Well,
You
as
know?
we were talking about the game last week, he was in my team. He was in my starting 11, Soler.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah.
I'm pleased he played, and I actually thought he had a decent game. He didn't do himself any harm at all.
No,
What with the
not at all.
keeping thing is, there seems to be different reports out there. I've looked it up, his contract. As far as I can tell, he's on 80k a week. And if he's on 80k a week, then I think he's in West Ham's kind of price bracket, right? They could afford to give him 80k a week if they wanted to keep him.
Yeah, but there's the problem.
But there's reports of him being on 240k a week. And
Nah,
if that's accurate, then West Ham are not paying him that anyway, are they?
I don't believe that for 1 minute. But
And if that is the case, the 80k that you're hearing of is what we're paying towards it.
That's what I can find on his contract. That it.
All right. Okay.
But doesn't mean the information I've found accurate.
West Ham ain't paying him
all I can find
a week, that's for sure.
No. I mean, I would say if his wages are 240 a week, I reckon 80k of that is what we're paying. You know,
I get what you're saying, Buddy. Yeah,
we're paying the nominal fee. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
But who knows? Who knows? Well, I mean, we don't know.
I think the thing with Soler, put money aside because we're only speculating on the money.
Yeah.
Is Soler in his mind thinking, is it worth me staying at West Ham? He doesn't get picked that often.
He doesn't get enough game time, does he?
And if he's not, you know, I was a big critic of his at the start of the season. He just looked lackluster. But every time,
half a dozen games in, you were sending back, weren't you? And I was like, give him a chance because I thought we hadn't. I didn't think he'd had a fair crack at the whip. Didn't think we'd seen very much of him, and I also thought what we had seen of him was not where he should be playing. So,
and I've banged on his drum from the moment he arrived. To be fair, but the one thing I will say though is that, you know, maybe he's not getting a great deal of game time right now, right? But you know, he's only got to have had a word in, you know, spoken into his ear by Potter or one of his coaches or whatever, that just hold tight because, you know, we're going to be losing blah 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 and blah blah in the summer, and you will be my first choice whatever, or you will be, you know, you will be one of my 2 first choice players.
Should be playing him now position. If that's the case.
Yeah, but he is getting.
This is the guy who's in your plans, and I want you next year. Don't go, I want you next year, but what I'm going to do to these guys I don't really fancy, I'm going to keep playing in front of you.
He might be trying to sell them, what we said last week.
Says
I kind of said that, but who's in the shop
window? Because it says there in like the board's rules that these players must be played first.
In the what?
You know, like when the board have sort of like taken on a new manager or coach, you know, right, well, you know, this player owes us this much money, we want this player played before you play any of your new players, or, you know, we want this new player played before you play any of those younger players.
Okay, but if
whatever the case may be,
then the board, there's no way the board can hold the manager responsible for results if they're telling him this one's got to play whether you want him to or not. Is there?
Well, I suppose not.
If it's a real thing.
You know, well, that's what I'm speculating, you know. And
No. I'm saying if that is actually true, right? If that is a thing, then there's no way they can hold him responsible because he just says, listen, I'm playing the fucking 4 players you told me I was supposed to.
Yeah, true.
Or that I had to.
You know, just guarantee us Premier League survival, but you've got to play these players. I'm just throwing ideas out there.
I've sat here for several weeks and said relegation's not, and I still don't think it's a real threat. But you know,
but that threat is getting ever closer.
I'll tell you what, if Ipswich had won the other day when they were 2-0 up and go and win on Saturday, for instance, but the more games that go by, the less likely it is. But mathematically, it could still go down, which is fucking crazy.
Well, we've got Southampton next. What if they stomp all over us?
If we lose to Southampton on Saturday,
right,
I would say your theory would then start maybe hold water, right? But
I
Ipswich
doubt it,
didn't
Jeff.
get their points, and
I doubt very much it would go down, but I'll tell you now, we're looking like finishing, 2018, 17th.
Yeah,
The way we're looking at the minute.
Yeah, we are for sure.
But it's a conundrum. West Ham. It's
Actually, just you saying that kind of leads quite nicely into Terence's comment here, because he says, "I got to say, I thought we were lifeless first half, and we only kind of got back into the game because Liverpool let us. I feel they could have embarrassed us had they wanted. Lackluster in my eyes." I kind of see that, because I tell you what, once the pattern of the first half, and when that first goal went in, I did think to myself, if they get another one for half time, right, we're in for a fucking hiding here. That's not how it panned out, but I can kind of see where Terence is coming from in that respect. I have to say, I do think we grow into the game. I do think there's something in Liverpool. I don't know that they let us, but I do think Liverpool were perhaps not as sharp as they might
I
be.
said it earlier, didn't I, when Budgie was offline? They're limping over the line at the moment. The pressure's got.
Yeah.
He probably went in at half time and said, "Don't let these boys. You're in control. Just keep the ball. 1-0 will do us. We'll make chances and grab another couple." Didn't pan out that way. When we scored, fuck me, they were angry. And as I said before, Budgie come on, professional footballers in 89 minutes, you shouldn't be giving Van Dijk a free header. Yeah. So, Liverpool are limping over the line. I think that's only either their first or second win in the last 6 games. Yeah. So Liverpool are not playing well at the moment. Yeah. Liverpool are not playing well. They're limping over the line. Pressure's got to Liverpool, because they want to do it early. Arsenal will give it to them anyway, because Arsenal just won't win all their games anyway. But especially if they win tomorrow night. I just think it was a nervous second half performance from Liverpool that had come out and said, "We'll just contain it. We'll smash and grab a couple of goals." Didn't work out that way. I go back to before Budgie come on. I just think West Ham were void of creating, apart from the one we said Salah put over the bar, creating proper chances for all that we did. And before you come on, Budgie, I was fuming. I text Jeff straight at the game. I said, "Fucking prick. Paqueta going down again like that." He did that in the other Liverpool game, didn't he, up at Anfield, where he went down on the corner and was rolling around like a shot. That again, if I'm Potter, I ain't playing him. I'm just saying, get off the pitch.
I understand exactly where you're coming from.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you
do. I mean, look,
I thought he had a good game. I agree with you on that.
He did have a good game. That's the thing. Yeah. He had a good game, and he, I thought he was going to be the one that would create something if we did create. Mm-hmm. But you're right. It was that. Look, we've got in Lucas Paqueta what Chelsea had in Didier Drogba, an absolute genius, but would go over with the change of the wind. Would go over like with the slightest of touches.
And, I think Villa might have equalised.
Oh, nice. Chelsea went through that a lot with Didier Drogba. I remember my brother complaining about him all the time. But I said to him, "Would you swap him out for another player?" Mm-hmm. Oh, dear. "Would you swap him out for another player, though?" And Kev's like, "No, actually, I wouldn't, because
but the difference
because of what he does give us."
The difference with Didier Drogba and Paqueta is that Didier Drogba used to go down at the other end and around the box. That's twice now against Liverpool, let alone other teams, that Paqueta goes down in stupid places, and then lies there and gives the ball and give the ball. He is in total control there.
Good comparison would be Salah, right? Salah goes down and he gets a free kick or a penalty, but he don't go down like that for nothing, does he?
No, he doesn't. What there was, Just that has pissed me off.
Actually, that's because Salah's got a little bit of more integrity about him when he's playing
it's got
football.
more intelligence. You don't do
Yeah,
it
about
outside your own box.
intelligence, maybe. Yeah.
Intelligence. You do that at the other end. Yeah, and if you get away with it, great. If you don't, you just get up. But went straight to the corner. Corner ends up in the back of the net, and that's all down to the kettle for me. It's fucking unforgivable. Unforgivable.
On a slightly different perspective to Terence's comment, Ian says a couple of positives. We look better defensively. You don't get the feeling we'll be conceding 4 on 5. Also, second half shows we can compete. That is progress. I just wish we would start with positivity. And to pretty summed it up, we know that he's improved us defensively, although I have to say, I've said it before, we were shipping 3, 4 and 5 with that much regularity. You would hope anyone who come in would tighten that up, right? Our goal scoring's gone down the pan, and he does set up so defensively sometimes. But the last 3 games, second halves have been so much improved. If we could get, I don't expect 90 minutes necessarily of that, right? But if we can get performances closer to that level and in that style, be happier, and I think we'd get more results, wouldn't we?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I think there could even be an element that Graham Potter's saying, like, let's start the game slowly, let's build towards like the big finish in the second half. Go out there and go and try and grab the win. That could be part of what he's going through. That could be a part.
No. I think Badger's gone again. Yeah, I don't know if he's moving about.
Any team that goes to Anfield, whether it be Arsenal or Aston Villa or anyone like that goes to Anfield, they're going to sit tight for the first 20 minutes anyway. That would be expected. Yeah, to be fair.
Yeah.
But we offered very, very little. We're very passive, I thought.
Yeah.
Make West Ham great again says, until Potter plays Bowen, our best player in his best position, I am not happy with Potter. Bowen is half the player when playing up front. I think it echoes the sentiment of quite a lot of people.
Yeah, there's a lot of merit.
I definitely agree. I want to see Bowen play off of the right-hand side. If Bowen's going to play up front, there's only one scenario I really want to see Bowen play up front. And if he's going to play 4-4-2 and have him and Fulkrug up there, do you know what? Let's see how that goes. I could see how you might get some benefits off of that.
Yeah.
But if you're going to play Bowen up as your striker or Bowen Kudus up as a 2 like that, I don't really see it working. But
Kudus is so much stronger than Bowen. Yeah, far stronger than Bowen in taking the ball in, receiving it. Bowen doesn't have that quality that Kudus has in that respect. I'm not saying he's a better player than Bowen or anything like that. I'm just saying that everyone has different attributes. He's a much stronger player receiving the ball, and he protects the ball much better. So if you're going to play one of them 2 up front, it would have to be him. Yeah, if you were going to do that, I think Kudus is being wasted a lot this season. I know he had his troubles a lot here, and he got sent off, and he lost his temper and blah blah blah. But he's making a big effort under Potter to get involved in the game. But for me, it's all in the wrong areas. Yeah, it's just inside our half. Boom, boom, boom. He's not the threat that he's been previously, for sure.
Just on Soler, make West Ham great again. Says Soler is on 200k at PSG. Soler's on too much money to sign unless PSG pay 2/3 of his wages. He won't sign. Maybe another loan. And there we are. If that's correct information, it's clearly we're not paying 200k a week. If that's the case,
no way, not happening.
Yeah. So. I haven't been watching the game, so I kind of had it on. It froze up a bit like Budgie's internet. But I can see they're 2-1 down. Ian says, a concern I have is when GP first got started, the players seemed happy and infused. I may be wrong, but I think I'm starting to see players' heads drop a bit. I wonder if he's starting to lose them. I don't know. We kind of go through this little theory with every manager. If they lost this player, rumours of a fallout with Tadibo, which I don't know how true it is or isn't. I don't know is the true answer, Ian, if he's losing anyone. The heads down. It's getting consistent performances out of these players, like the Kuduses and the Paquetas, because I think the last couple of games, Kudus and Paqueta have been really pretty good.
Yeah.
But you look at the last game, they both turned up against Liverpool and showed themselves off. I mean, they do this regularly, don't they? Both of them against the bigger teams.
Yeah, they flash their knickers at
Because they're looking for moves, Jeff.
Yeah, sure. But, they
Exactly.
put on these performances against the bigger teams. And then, we've got Southampton this weekend. If everyone turns up, we should absolutely tear them apart, shouldn't we? But I don't expect us to.
Well, you say tear them apart. Southampton will defend for their lives. Yeah, they'll be happy to pick a point up.
Yeah, they will. Yeah. Well, they will. Just towards the records, yeah.
What have we got to break them down? How are we going to play breaking them down? That's the thing, because we don't seem, say, for all the half decent, and I call it half decent because there was no end product to it. Yeah, the half decent performance you put against Liverpool. Yeah, we're not sitting here and saying, "Oh, we nearly scored there." Apart from the Soler one, the save he made from Kudus. Kudus made a chance of it, yeah. But apart from that, there's no.
It's a good save, but it's not a world-beating save in my.
Yeah,
I think
you know what I mean. We're not watching West Ham. I think, are they going to tear Southampton apart? We might win it 1 or 2-0. Might win it 1 or 2-1. You never know. Yeah, get sloppy. I'm not convinced with us in the last third at the minute.
I've got an adventurous 4-4-2 for Southampton, and we'll absolutely rip them to bits. Guilherme and Kudus down the flanks, Bowen and Fulkrug up front. Won't be able to cope with it, but that won't happen. So don't worry about it. I just want to, before we go too further, I just want to give a nod to Rico, who's joined us, Everton fan. Hi, Rico. Thanks for joining us. He says, "Evening, Moyes we trust. Second spell at Everton, doing great work again, like he hasn't been away. Good luck to you, Rico. He's done a brilliant job since he's been back at you. And he'll lead you into your new stadium, and let's see what happens from there. But thanks for joining us, buddy. Appreciate your comments. I'll let you carry on, Mick. Sorry.
No, I was done.
Oh, you've done.
I'm
right.
just saying, I don't see us. Just don't see us creating chances of a clinical, like good chances, the way we're playing at the moment. So if they can't do it against Southampton, then we've got a problem.
Yeah. And moving on to Southampton, what's everyone's thoughts? I'll tell you what, actually, we could do a budgie stat attack. This would be a good time for that. I can have a little sip of my wine. Have you got your big screen on, Budge?
No.
Will you be able to see it?
I'm going to put it on right now. Hang on, wait there.
Okay, I'll wait. I'll finish off the comments here.
Yeah, go with that.
And then I'll put it up. Usually saying that mob on AFTV are insufferable. And I guess that's, I did flick up about, who was it, Toho, who said, I hope they, Arsenal lose 4-0. I can't say too negative about Arsenal, because I'm going to be watching the game tomorrow with a couple of Arsenal fans, and they might be tuning in, and I don't want to upset them.
I don't want an English club to go out to a Spanish club or any other.
They got a 3-0 lead. They should go through, and if they don't, it's going to be on them, isn't it? Really.
They're still an English club.
Right, we've got the big screen on now, Jeff.
You got the big screen on. Okay, I'll get that sorted in a second, Budge.
Totally agree with that. Make West Ham great again. Absolutely.
Okay, I haven't read it. It says, Paqueta has been very inconsistent during his time with us. I would sell him if we can get a decent fee this summer. I say it often, he has been inconsistent. He didn't turn up for the first few months he was here. Then he was outstanding. Then he disappeared. Then he shows a few games. Then he's gone missing. Now he looks like he's showing up again. Yeah, I agree with it. He's like a roller coaster, up and down.
Part of that could be his head, his problems that he's having.
Yeah,
But,
no. In the
last 18 months, to be fair to him, there is
uh-huh.
that human side of that, but that's getting out of the way now.
And
in fairness towards that as well, that he would have known about the investigation before any of us did.
Yeah, for sure.
By some time. Yeah, but go on, carry on. Sorry.
And he's Mike Weston is saying, how many games has Potter had? 10 or 12, only 2 clean sheets. Well, we have got some Potter stats that we can refer to as well. So his goal difference, though, is actually not dreadful considering he's only got 2 clean sheets. But if you're ready for the screen, I'm going to let you fire away with those.
Yep, I'm ready.
Southampton stats. I have to put the screen up myself. This is our opposition and the weekend. Flynn Downs not suspended anymore. He comes back, doesn't he, this weekend? But he was suspended for his last game.
Yeah, for the last game he was. I thought, yeah. So, so this is their current form on the left, is it?
Current form, yeah. So they've got one draw in the last 5, sandwiched between 2 losses either side, and their opposition's there. And I love the way you present it, Budge. Gives me a break, so I can let you take it away, mate.
Yeah, but look, they had a win at Liverpool. Is that a win?
Yeah, they lost there. They lost. I just haven't changed the W to an L when I've been doing the editing.
Oh, mate. All right, no worries.
Yeah.
Okay, so so the loss against Villa, that was inevitable, absolutely. The loss against Tottenham, obviously, that's kind of questionable because they've been shit this season themselves. Palace, really and truly, like they shouldn't have won any of them games, if I'm honest with you. Having a draw with Palace is about right. That's kind of where I see Southampton's best performances, like against clubs like Palace and that. Although we kind of have shitty time against Palace recently.
We struggle with them, don't we?
Yeah, we do. I suppose it's because of the London rivalry. Yeah, injuries and suspensions. Like you said, Flynn Downs is now available. Onachu. Oh, he's still out, is he?
Well, he may be available, but obviously I don't know how fit he will be in terms of match fitness.
Yeah, so at the best, we can expect him to be on the bench. Ereliki, is it? I don't.
Yeah, I think he's out for a good while, and they're out for maybe the season, or certainly not in contention for our game.
But who is this Ereliki or whatever?
I don't know. I didn't even bother looking him up.
No, I never even heard of him. So, all right, okay, brilliant, love it. Okay, got anything else? Got anything else for me?
I've got our last 3 meetings, but obviously spanned. Okay. They spent a season out of the Premier League last year, so there's a bit of a gap, and you'll notice that when we come to the goal scorers.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So in 24, 1-0 win. Bowen scoring in the
Boxing
59th
Day.
minute. Yes, Boxing Day. Yes. Previous to that, Agard scored in the 25th minute. I don't remember that game. Do you know that?
Well, I didn't. The last 2 I didn't remember, but you have to remember it wasn't last year. It was the year before.
Yeah, 22. Rice and Perraud. I remember that game actually, because if I remember rightly, we were struggling to score in that game, and then all of a sudden Rice did something. Didn't he score from like a shot outside the box, if I
I'll be
remember
honest.
rightly. You can't
Honest,
remember now?
I can't remember.
No. I'm fairly sure that was a shot from outside the box. Yeah.
Anyway, I'll take that down now.
Okay.
And teams, have you got any ideas for teams? I'll give you a minute to think about it. I've got a little slide here that I'll see if I can present it out. Now, this is my kind of little mad 4-4-2 that I mentioned earlier. That we won't see the light of day, but let's see what you think of it. No, that's not going to work, is it? There we are. Okay, can you see that, Budge?
Nope.
Oh,
Yes.
here we are.
My little okay.
Yep, there it is. Oh, there we go.
If Potter is determined to play Bowen up front, then play him up front alongside Fulkrug. He obviously showed faith in Scarles because he fielded him at Anfield. So okay, let's start him in this game. Little bit of a worry because I've got Pack and Soler holding the midfield between them, and I'm not sure. I honestly think we need 3 in there, if I'm being honest. But like I say, this is not going to happen. So, got Areola in goal with Scarles, Kilman, and Tadibo with Wan-Bissaka at right back. So Kudus and Guilherme in the wide positions, left and right. Pack and Soler in the middle. Fulkrug and Bowen up front. What do you think of that lineup, guys? Like I say, don't worry, it's not going to happen anyway.
Yeah. No, but I agree with it to a point. And like you said, you were a little concerned with the fact that it's Paqueta and Soler holding the centre midfield slot. So
Yeah.
my suggestion would be to have Soler and Alvarez rather than Paqueta. I wouldn't play Paqueta. But other than that, I mean, clearly Paqueta's going to get a shout over Guilherme, but with that formation, I would put Alvarez instead of Paqueta, and that would be the only change I would make to that.
So, okay, I'd put Paqueta where Kudus is, bring Kudus where Guilherme is. It'd work okay for me, so no problem.
Yeah.
So just giving Guilherme a run out. We're talking about Potter experimenting. He's got nothing to lose. We're playing the bottom team in the league, got 10 points all season, want to see some entertainment at home. Like I say, this is all fantasy.
Yeah.
So it's a little fantasy.
You might even see it, Irving in the middle.
This is the team I think you're more likely to see something like. So I think we see something.
I think he'll go 4-3. I actually think he'll go 4-3-3, Jeff, against Southampton.
No, I think he could go 4-3-3 as well, and
I think Bowen, Kudus, and
no, absolutely.
Hopefully a centre forwards.
More like that.
Yeah.
I agree. I think it could easily look like that.
And then you get who's that there you've got down there?
Well, I've got Ward-Prowse and Soler in there because I think he seems to really like Ward-Prowse. So personally, I would put Alvarez in there, but I'm sort of trying to second guess what Potter might do. I think he might not start Fulkrug, but I really hope, even if he doesn't, he starts Ferguson.
He needs to put
a striker on the pitch.
He needs 4-3-3 against them and get some points on the board. Yeah, and I would.
Anyway, I'll stop sharing this because it takes out the screen. I'd get your feedback, and obviously you guys in the chat give us your feedback as well. So anyway, I don't know what everyone thinks to that, and I'll try and catch up with the chat.
Yeah, I mean that second one looked the more likely lineup that we will see from Potter.
Yeah, I would say it's more realistic.
With perhaps maybe Guilherme on the right instead of Bowen, and Bowen in the centre instead of Fulkrug. That's possibly, maybe. I think perhaps maybe. But for me, I'd go with. I think we need to keep our back line as strong and tight and familiar with each other as possible. So I personally would go with 3 at the back, 5 in midfield, and 1 up front.
The problem with all fives, the 3 at the back, it becomes a 5 when you're better off.
Very
Personally,
easily becomes a 5.
5. I just think you can play with the fullbacks if you've got. Emerson's not been talked about for a long time. I don't know what he's done, but there's a game for Emerson that getting bombing forward on his side.
He's actually shown no interest in renewing his contract at the end of the season.
Is that why?
I believe so.
Or Scholes. I'm not knocking Scholes. I'm just saying, but yeah.
Emerson does get forward a bit more than Scholes, doesn't he? Got a bit more to offer. I think Emerson should actually deliver more crosses in the box than he does, but he's just got that little bit more experience.
Could even be a game for Creswell. Could be a game for Creswell.
I mean, it could be though.
Not at left back.
He gets down the line. Southampton are not a threat. You've got to. There was comment on here last week that it's Potter's duty to entertain. Well, there is your time to entertain on Saturday. Yeah,
and also,
I agree. That's why I put my fantasy 4-4-2, and that's like bit of excitement for people.
But it would also give the fans the chance to show Aaron Creswell how much he's still appreciated. Because his contract's up at the end of the season as well.
Well, he's not staying, is he? I'm not going to keep Creswell. But it's the time to Southampton are so embarrassed this season, so embarrassed that they'll be happy to come away with a point, and that's what they'll be going there for. And they shouldn't get it off of us.
No.
Ian says he desperately needs a fit and reliable striker for us to progress. We can't rely on Fulkrug. I don't see Delap coming. It's vital we get a good one in for next season. Absolutely agree. We've needed one of those for several seasons, if the truth be known.
For about 10 years.
Yeah. I agree. I don't see us getting Delap either. We definitely can't rely on Fulkrug. I wouldn't be against seeing Fulkrug stay at the club next year, but we can't rely on him to be the week in, week out man. Damien's in. Good evening, Damien. Thanks for joining us. He says, come out today that the club don't see Fulkrug as capable of completing 45 minutes yet. That's just a little bit worrying. We seem to have a couple of players. I mean, Fulkrug is still coming back from injury, but we need more than 45 minutes out of him, in my opinion. And it's a bit worrying. Tadebo just can't do more than 65, 70 minutes.
Yeah.
Usual says he saw that Manure are looking at him. I think he's referring to Delap. And I think Chelsea been rumoured to be looking at him as well.
Typical target for Chelsea. They go for the ones that have been catching your eye throughout the season.
Damien's with his Potter out, Mourinho in.
I have to. Can I just say something there as a Damien?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I read some stuff this week that kind of backs up what he was saying, but again, it's all speculation, right? But it's interesting that when Potter first was talked about, it was for a 6-month contract, you remember? And he wouldn't sign it. And then Damien said last week, he's on no compensation for 18 months. And I've read quite a few articles this week that says that.
It was out in whatever in the news about that. Yeah.
That he
break clause.
Well, West Ham are seriously. That's the bit that sort of made me chuckle with Damien. Yeah, is that some of the look you're reading other people's, whether it's their opinions or they know. That's the thing, you never know.
Yeah.
Where people get information from, or they just speculating and putting it out there, but. That they're looking to replace him at the end of the season already. So, and it won't cost them nothing. And I thought, well, that really backs up what Damien was saying last week. So maybe there's some truth in that, Damien.
Who knows? I'm just going to, Toa says here, I think he's referring to my team. to swap Kudus and Guilherme. There's a reason I put Guilherme over the right and Kudus to the left, because I didn't like the idea of Scarles and Guilherme and the two young lads having to deal with, even though it's only Southampton, as it were, down the one side. I thought, I don't know if you can rely on Kudus for his defensive duties, but he is capable of doing them. And Wan-Bissaka will back Guilherme up behind him. So that was my logic between putting them on those sides. I do get why you could switch them around, but I was like, let's put a kid one side, someone in front of him, kid the other side, someone behind him. So that was why I did that.
Mm-hmm.
Sound thought process, that one, Jeff.
Rico says Everton looking to buy out his contract clause, Delap. So, David is throwing his hat in the ring, but we know it'll take him too long to make his mind up. So, probably not going to go there.
Yeah. I'll throw another name into the hat. Well, I'll say another name. Listen, there's going to be a striker at the end of the season that's going to be surplus to requirements, I think, and that is Marcus Rashford. What about him?
Too much money. He's on massive money.
I'd agree.
He's on 300. He's on 300 grand a week now at Man United. £285,000 off. No, he's not. He's on 350 grand a week at Man United.
Ridiculous.
Just before we get into the debate too much, I've got to put usual response to Rico. He says, leaving Ipswich for Everton is a big step down for the lad.
Bit harsh.
Yeah, but you got to give him credit. It's pretty quick.
Uh-huh.
I tell you what, if let's say Delap goes to Manchester United, how's about you can nip Højlund out of there for 30 million? I'd take him, wouldn't you?
Absolutely, 100% love him. Absolutely love him.
I know. I tell you, young lad. I think he's got loads to offer. I think he's
I absolutely love him.
Give him the ammunition. I think he scores goals.
He works his socks off in a team that have West Ham are bad, but my God, honestly, I've no respect for Amorim as a manager at all. I think someone that comes into a club and then says this is the way we're going to play without looking at his squad, you think we're bad. If Man United continue like they are, yeah, then they're not looking at Europe next season. They're looking at going down. I've never seen a manager try and put so many square pegs in round holes. So if Højlund was to become available, then
he's very stubborn, isn't he?
He's not even stubborn, Jeff. He's dealing with, in my opinion, still the biggest club in the world. The most, up there with Real Madrid. I know that's argumentable, but Man United.
Well, they've got status, haven't they?
It's a world brand. And for him to say I've got to play a free whatever he plays these days, and he's still playing the likes of Ericsson and Casemiro and boys have got no legs. Yeah, to try and even play, press high, get your centre half, getting Harry Maguire to press a central midfielder on the edge of the box and all that is bollocks. I've never seen anybody at that level for so long to continue his nonsense, and it is nonsense. His interviews are nonsense. They say he's honest. It's fucking nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. For all the things that we might say on here about Potter, thank fucking God he didn't come to our club. Yeah, because honestly, fucking shit. That is what he's doing at Man United. He's destroying that club. They weren't in great shape before he went, but he's certainly putting the nail in their coffin. I've never seen anything like that from Man United in my life.
What do you think of Højlund, Budge? Would you take him, or is he not your cup of tea?
Do you know what? I don't know. He is a very useful player. He's got better over this season. for what that's worth. You know, he's as Mick said, you know, he's in a crap system. But
They've
yeah,
never used him properly, in my opinion.
no,
Hello? What's that, Jeff?
I've never used him properly, in my opinion.
I've never used him properly. He's a cracking
No.
centre forward. He's everything you want in a centre forward. He run all day for you. He's got great control. He gets in great positions to score, but never gets the ball. And when he does, it's like Bowen. It's going back to earlier what I was saying, like Bowen. He's now snapping at chances because he's not scoring. You know, if he came into a team that was creating chances for him, and he starts putting the ball in the back of the net, he's a proper centre forward. That lad. Go on. What's the comment there?
It's just Toga, because I know, Budgie. Hoyland or Ramsdale, Budgie?
I don't think Ramsdale will play up front, does he?
yeah.
I just know,
yeah, no,
Budgie doesn't like Ramsdale.
I don't like Ramsdale. I don't want him at this club. I really don't. And you know, I'm not sold with the Hoyland thing either. To be fair, I agree with you to some degree, Mick, that he has got a lot of, you know, a lot to offer. But I don't know if that West Ham that would benefit from that.
I'll give you a scenario then, right? Since Antonio's stopped playing, due to his injury, we've created very little, right, in terms of putting people under pressure, people making runs in behind. No one does that, Hoyland do that for you. A lot younger, and his finishings will always be better.
Always better than Antonio's,
than Mickey Antonio's. And he's a kid still. He's 20 years of age.
He is.
21 maybe. Yeah. What's that, Jeff?
He's young. He's young.
Yeah. I'll just if you could buy him for £30 million.
Listen, I said 30 million. I don't know if he's, but what
I'm saying, if you could buy him for 30,
if you could get him for that, that's our kind of money, right?
If you pay 40 million for him, you sell Paqueta and buy him for 40 million. Happy days, yeah.
I'll be on board with that. I have to say.
That's
why I said it.
Someone like, I think it'd be great, but I don't suppose you'll ever even consider playing for West Ham, to be fair. But there you go.
No, well, that's another thing, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. He's more ambitious than playing for West Ham at the moment.
Terence says Sullivan is no better than Loppy. Potter ain't going to be allowed big money names. He's going to be told to buy abroad and supplement with our out of contract players. Just pray they give Potter a fair crack. I think there's going to be a little bit of that. We're talking about targeting the KWP. That's going to be a free chat. I know there's the David and Gomez things going on, but I think we are going to be looking at a target or two like that. We're probably going to be looking to pick up whatever names we are for 15 or 20 million here or there. But I've got a feeling he does it all. There'll be one. There'll be he might spend 40 million on one player.
It's got to be a centre forward.
No, but it might well be. But what I'm saying, he might just go and splash £40 million on one player, say, and make that the big signing, and then we'll have to make do with a couple of free signings, a couple of lower budget signings, a couple of loans to make up the numbers, and there's our squad, right?
Just don't, I said it last week, don't forget that Somerville will be back next season. So it'd be like having a new player. Somerville's a great player. You've got Kudis, Bowen, Somerville, and a decent centre forward. Yeah. And you played Kudus as a number 10, perhaps, where he's picking that ball up and running at defences and laying it out wide and getting into the box himself. Yeah. The rest of it kind of takes care of itself. You could live with the defenders we've got now, if you had to. Yeah. And then you need someone in the midfield who's a bit mobile. We said Solari, but he's out of the question.
The midfield needs addressing, right?
Needs addressing, but you can still pick up decent physical players for not like massive amounts of money. You can pass the ball well. So
I'm a bit behind this stream. I think I'm about to see the goal. Oh!
What's that, Jeff?
John McGinn, what a goal!
Yeah, what's the score now? What's the score now?
2-2, 5-3 on aggregate.
Anyway, Jeffers, I've got another early morning, mate, so I am going to bow out.
No problem. I'm going to kind of wrap that up.
Thank you, everyone, for joining the chat.
I'm going to get a score prediction from you before you go, please, for the weekend.
Well, if he plays 4-3-3 with a centre forward, I'm going to go at least 3-0 to us.
Okay.
But, yeah. That's if he plays that system, because he's got to go for it.
Fair enough. So are you sticking with your 3-0, or are you saying ifs and buts?
I'm saying that he should play a 4-3-3, and if he does that, then we should win comfortably. Yeah, 3-0 at least.
Okay, fair enough.
Good night, mate.
All right, and Budgie, have you got a score prediction for the weekend?
Yeah, I'm gonna go 1-0 West Ham.
Oh, he's here, still here. I thought you're gone, Mick. You're 1-0 to you.
Yeah, I'm listening to yours.
You're listening? Yeah, okay, cool. 1-0, Budgie says. I'm going to go. I tell you what, if he wins 3-0, is goals per game and points per game is exactly the same as Lopetegui. And obviously his goals against is better than Lopetegui. So he will have got a better record than Lopetegui.
That would be fucking hard, wouldn't it?
So I can't have 3-0, I guess, if you've gone 3-0. I'd quite like to. So I'm going to go 2-0. I think we will win. They're dreadful, right? And I think we'll win. And on that note, I'll try and there's not too much in the chat. I'm going to wrap up.
See you later, guys.
As you know, Budge, see you later, Mick. Thanks, mate. We've got visitors this evening as well. Family have arrived, so.
All right, okay.
I don't. Yeah, John's down with the kids, so they're off to Luton tomorrow. So I'll kind of wrap it up there. Let's just see what Toa says before we go. He says, if we lead 2-0 at half time, Potter will park the bus like he did against Leicester. I think he might. I want to argue, but
difficult to though, isn't it?
I think he might. And Villa on Fulham. Oh my God!
They scored again.
Well, I don't know what this. I'm a bit behind everyone. Yeah, 3-2. They're a goal behind on goal difference. Bloody hell! There's 33 minutes to play.
Nice.
Oh, I've got to watch the end of this.
Yeah.
I've got to say thanks to everyone in the chat for joining us.
Yep.
Brilliant.
Great.
Wouldn't be the same without all of you. Thanks for all getting involved and joining us every week. Same to you, Budgie. And before it gets too late, I'm going to scoot and join up with the family. And I'll catch you all next week.
Brilliant.
Till then.
No worries. Thanks, everybody. See you tomorrow night.
Yeah. Come on, you Irons.
Come on, you Irons.
Massive.